you
Yeah.
want to just ask?
I haven't received a copy of the latest version.
Well, the council one? Said there was on, I think
Okay,
it was emailed to everybody.
that's okay.
What'd you
Thank you.
say?
Planning is on page 4.
As most of you know, I'm Diane Hardy. I'm the town planner. And the planning office basically is myself, and we have a quarter-time administrative secretary, Susan Jordan, and we also have Erica, who comes and takes minutes at our planning board meetings and processes those for the board. The total budget increase from last year is 7.3% increase, and if you go down through the items, you'll see that a lot of the increases are in the area of salaries, and we also have changed around a few items in the budget that were previously in other departments, which is now in the planning department. So it looks like my budget has been inflated, but actually it's a pass-through from another department. And what I'm referring to is the section for mapping supplies. We had requested $4,500, and I guess what the council is recommending is $3,500. Basically, that includes the maintenance software for our GIS system that we have. We have mapping software which creates these lovely maps, as you see up on the wall, and it costs us about $1,000 a year to keep that license current. And part of that license fee is they provide technical assistance to us if we have some problems with the software. And then every year when they have an update, they send us a new update. We also have in that line item $3,000 for our what we call People's GIS. And if you folks have been on our webpage and have gone to the planning department, you'll see there's a separate line item there for maps online. And basically it's a version of the GIS, Geographic Information System, that is available to the public. So let's say if a realtor was doing some research and wanted to know what the zoning was for a particular parcel, or whether it had water or sewer, they could go into that program, pull up that map, it would show the configuration of the parcel and provide information. That's about a $3,000 cost. Previously, those items had been in the IT budget, and so upon, I think, the recommendation of Town Administrator Winowski, we've pulled those from IT and we've put them into the planning department so that we can keep track of them. We also provide mapping services to other town departments. So for instance, if the police department needs a current street map for their dispatch center, we can provide them a copy of that. Or I've done some mapping work for Ms. Glover for her downtown project. So that it looks like a major increase there, but that's something that was from another department previously. We have funding set aside for training. That's been a decrease over last year's. And I had talked to the council about this, and it was agreed that maybe it's not necessary for us to do the national conferences every year, but every other year, which I thought, given our fiscal constraints, that was a reasonable compromise. It's very important for the planning board members and for the zoning board members also to have training, and we have money set aside for them to attend the annual conferences that are put on by the Office of Energy and Planning and also by the New Hampshire Municipal Association Local Government Center. And these conferences are critical because they need to be current with the laws governing planning and zoning, and they do change frequently. Every year there's at least 10 or 12 new revisions to the state planning enabling legislation, and we have to keep current with those items. So we have money in our budget for both planning board and zoning board members for training. Postage, it's down this year, and partly that's because the development activity has leveled off some. We haven't had as many applications. We're required under the state RSAs when we have an application for zoning variance or for a subdivision or site plan before the planning board, we're required to notify all the abutters by certified mail, and we're also required to have legal notices in the newspaper so many days in advance. And these are, statutory requirements that we really don't have any say over. We are level funding this year for the supply budget, and I did go into detail about the mapping. Communication services includes, obviously, phone service, and also there's a cell phone that's, I have when I'm out doing field work and I need to contact, say, the building inspector or police department or public works department. I have access to a cell phone so that I can, I don't have to come running back to the office every time I need to communicate with someone. Dues and subscriptions, that includes not only subscriptions for the planning department, but that also includes the dues that the town pays to the Stratford Regional Planning Commission, and that's based on a formula, based on population, and I believe I have it in my detail here, I believe their dues are somewhere around $7,800, and they have...
93.
Okay, thank you. The rest is things such as part of my credentials includes American Institute of Certified Planners, and I need to keep that subscription current, or those credentials current. And also, there's new requirements this year that planners who are certified, which I am, have to maintain a certain number of continuing education credits. So obviously, the training budget that I've proposed provides the resources so that I can keep my credentials current. Advertising, I mentioned earlier, is notification to the public for public hearings. Also, in the planning department budget, we have the costs associated with updating our tax maps, and as we approve subdivisions, we make those plans available to the assessor's office, who does updating to the assessment records, but we also need to have current tax maps. And we have an arrangement with the Stratford Regional Planning Commission, because they were instrumental in the early days in getting our GIS system set up. So we have an arrangement with them where, as these developments are approved, we send them over to them and they update our tax maps. And we also make copies of those tax maps available to the assessor's office, the Public Works Department, other departments in town that would like to have a set of them. So basically, that's an overview of my budget. And I also have included we have some funding under the consulting line for special planning studies that may be needed. For instance, our town council is very interested in us taking a look at the Route 108 corridor, including the golf course property, with an eye to possible rezoning at some future date to accommodate commercial development, and possibly even looking at the expansion of our TIF district. And in order to do that, we'd like to call in an economic consultant to help us look at the financial aspects of that and to look at different tax implications of various development scenarios. And this would provide me with some funding to do those sorts of studies. Also, another example, recently we reviewed the proposal for the mills. And, we could have possibly, we had money available, we could have hired our own independent consultant who could take a look at some of those financial fiscal impacts associated with that, so that we could have some good hard data, empirical data for the zoning board to work with in looking at the overall impacts of that development. So those funds are available for that type of a planning study if the need presents itself. So that's it. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Basically, if like financial impacts of the mills and everything, you can hire your own and charge them for it also, can you?
We can if it's on if it's a planning board application.
Yeah.
The RSAs are very clear that the
Yeah.
costs of outside studies can, planning board can require them
Right.
and hire an independent. But for the zoning board, or for a zoning change, let's say, we can't back charge because it's not permitted under the RSAs.
Any other questions? Diane, I just had one quick question. And you were talking about plan map supplies. It's a minor thing. You keep talking about $4,500, but town council gave you $3,500. Down below it says 1,000 for the ActView service, 3,000 for the People's Online GIS, and 500 for mapping supplies. So that's 4,500.
So they've cut out,
Move something to another category, like the
We-
mapping?
the mapping supplies could come out of my general supply budget. And what that includes is, for instance, the if you've been into our office, we have a large-scale printer for printing these maps. But, you know, the materials like the ink and the paper are fairly expensive, so we need to have a good cushion there so that we can make those available. And right now, we're not charging other departments for these maps, but, for instance, in the future, we might be able to set up a fee schedule where, you know, if a developer was interested in this information, we could basically provide that information to them in a digital form and charge them for that service.
Any other questions? No questions?
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Certainly welcome.
And your services were invaluable on the CIP.
Oh, well, thank
Thank you so
you.
much. I want to make that a public statement.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
You did a
McKinney.
great job.
Well, I certainly enjoyed working with you and the committee.
Uh-oh.
Hope you'll stay around for a while. Help us out next year.
Leo too, by the way.
Yes, Leo was part of that.
Is there any other business today? I want to thank you all very, very much, because, you know, we set the timetables. The questions were asked, I think, that you wanted to ask. I was just going to make one comment. At some point in time, we're going to be able to spend some time on the revenue side of the budget, too. That's one thing that we did not talk about that I think we need to also cover. Okay? There being no further business, one other thing, let me make a mention. There was a lot of confusion on the Budget Committee in regards to the school budget, and I spoke to Kathy yesterday, Kathy Murphy, and I was informed by her that Article 8 on the town warrant for the school budget will go in without any opinion from the Budget Committee at all. That's how it's going to appear. Okay? Oh, I just wanted to let you know that. Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Lorianne, seconded by Linda. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you all very, very much. You always ask.